What's up, everybody? Welcome to JR. Today we've been spending time, well, this week we've been spending time with the Lexus LC500, aka the best car in the world.
Well, this is Matt's favorite car for sure.
It's my favorite week every single year when we get this thing. We had the red convertible last year, we've had a yellow coupe. I think if it were me, I'd go with the coupe, but let's take a look at this thing. Lexus has a bit of a brand stereotype problem. It's that everyone thinks that Lexuses are for old people, and when they send a car spec'd like this, convertible, Nori Green Pearl paint, and then tan interior and tan top, it doesn't really help. It doesn't scream youth, I should say. So that's not exactly how I would spec it. Now, it is still a nice color itself. It's a nice interior. It's a nice top. Just altogether, it doesn't exactly scream like
right. Yeah, individually, I like all the
energy.
I like all the components,
yeah.
But this is like the most boomer spec ever.
It is, yes, it is. But it does look good. You've got this super long hood. Under here is the 5-liter V8. We'll take a look at in a second. 471 horsepower, 398 pound-feet of torque. Up front here, though, you have triple beam projectors. So these are your LEDs. And then it's got a mirrored L detail that you would get from the badge inside the actual headlight casing. You've got your typical Lexus check mark. You've got some functional arrow around your side curtain. And then you've got your spindle grille. Now, I see a lot of people in the aftermarket like black this out down below and add a splitter, and I think that would make it look a little bit more aggressive. But from the front, it's definitely noticeable. It gets a lot of attention. We've gotten a lot of comments on this thing this week. Do you want to open the hood so you can see the engine? Now, this 5-liter V8 is the same V8 that you'll get under the hood of the IS500, the RCF, as well as the deceased, well, I guess not anymore, the GSF, but you could. It has like the fakest carbon fiber detail that you've ever seen. It doesn't have the blue F because obviously it's not an F car, but it does have the same engine. And then you do see things like some chassis bracing up here, so it is a pretty nice chassis, and Paul is going to show you a little bit more detail on the interior and some special carbon fiber bits. But let's take a look around the side. So I did say it has some functional aero right there. It does, it's a really small outlet, but that brings you to the upgraded 21-inch wheels. So as standard, you get 20s. For the touring package, you upgrade to the 21-inch wheels. They're a black and chrome kind of finish, two-tone, and they're okay. You get upgraded sport brakes as well. It's wrapped in a Bridgestone Potenza S001L tire. It's kind of an all-season grand touring tire. Not exactly a sport tire, but this isn't exactly a sports car. So I think that makes sense. Should we tell them about the bespoke wheel that you can get?
Yeah, so we were customizing our LCs yesterday, and we would both get the coupe, not the convertible. It's actually cheaper.
Yeah. And
the bespoke, you can kind of customize certain things. So you can get awesome black wheels. You can get black chrome, so your grille would be black. Some bits in the rear would be black on the taillights and stuff. And this insane rear wing that we'll talk about, but it looks absolutely gorgeous. Maybe I'll show a picture right now of it, what it would look like. But yeah, you can do some really cool things to customize this thing and make it really what you want it to be. I think Matt and I both agreed, though, while we're talking about the wheels, we just wish that they were a bit more flush with the fenders and the flares. I think they're a little bit sunken in. Yeah. But that's a minor complaint.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Taking a look from the side, though, like you really get a sense of how long this car is. Like my garage isn't small.
It is very long.
This thing takes up a lot of space for something with almost, well, no real usable back seat and a super tiny trunk. So it's a huge car. And again, it's a GT car. It's not supposed to be small. It's not supposed to be light. It's supposed to be big, comfortable, powerful, makes great sound. It does all those things. Door handles sunken in here, push, they come out. That's also how you lock it. And then you've got, weirdly, more functional aero down here coming into your rear wheel. So you do have a nice flared hip. So I think this car would benefit from like a little bit of, like a spacer for the wheels, or even just like a mild wide body kit would make it look really, really aggressive. But then we get to the actual back deck here. So obviously this is where the tan top lives, and it's just super long. It does eat into your rear seat space, which is why you have almost none of it, and Paula will show you that in a minute. And then you've got the trunk, which is the same size as the coupe, which means it's pretty pathetic. It's pretty small in here. You can fit a few things, but if you're gonna use this as a true GT car to like crush continents, drive cross country, you're not going to be able to bring a lot of stuff with you. Then the taillights. And this is my least favorite thing about the exterior of this car, and it's the finish, the cheap plastic finish that they put on top of the taillight casing. The taillights themselves are actually really cool. You got a nice mirrored effect in there, and then you have your LED turn signals down here, but this is sad.
It's not even chrome, it's just like,
no, it's just like a bad plastic. Yeah, so again, in the bespoke, you can like black that out, but nah. And then down below, you have dual outlets in your bumper, but they're actually quad pipes, and that's the best part of this car. Absolutely.
The sound and the looks, I would agree with you.
Sound and the looks. But with that, I think it's probably time to step inside.
Yeah, why don't you give them a little taste though of what's to come when we go on our little drive.
All right.
Yeah, that's nice.
There you go.
That is fantastic. Okay.
That's good stuff.
So we will switch. Here we go, I think. All right, so I'm gonna take you guys into the interior, and before we hop in, quickly just wanted to show you, and actually we'll show them the trunk as well, but this is real carbon fiber here on your door sill. That's an extra charge, and then also here on your actual door.
Yeah,
and
carbon.
Your,
this sill is $600, I think, and this is just part of it.
Your whole trunk lid is basically a carbon fiber piece, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Super nice and light. So I mean, as we just like look at this thing holistically, their interiors are just super unique. They make you feel special, and that's because they really don't carry designs from car to car. You know, each one is kind of done uniquely, and it has its own styling elements to it as well. While we're out here, if we kind of just look at the back seats, like there's obviously not really room for anyone to sit back here, so it's mainly just extra storage for
I don't even think you could fit like a booster seat back here.
No, I don't think you could.
So not even babies.
No, not even babies.
It's just water bottles. So in essence, these are the biggest water bottles I've ever seen on a car. Or
Water
bottle
bottle
cup
holders,
holders.
yeah.
Yeah, excuse me.
Yeah, because you only get one really tiny cup holder
Yeah,
here.
that's the cup holder.
And it kind of interferes with some of your climate controls here. But
there's not a lot of storage.
quickly want to show you guys how the roof goes up and down. So it goes up and down within 15 seconds, and you can be going up to speeds of 31 miles an hour, which is incredibly quick, a lot quicker than some of the other convertibles that we've tested on downshift. You also have a glass rear window, which is pretty cool. This is a multi-layered canvas, so it does a really good job of insulating the noise and keeping that noise outside of the cabin. Pretty decent headroom, 6'2", and I still have plenty of room up here. So
Boy, quit lying, you're not 6'2".
it's very, very comfortable in here. 6'2.5" with shoes on.
Please.
It's very, very comfortable in here. These seats are really comfortable and good bolstering. And then you also have, you know, it's wide enough for your shoulders, which is great. Matt has really wide swimmer shoulders, although he never swam. Idiots.
He never works out his shoulders, so it don't matter.
You do have heated and cooled seats. You have a heated steering wheel. I will show you where you would turn those on in 1 second. But I did want to mention you also have a heated like neck head warmer, which is super cool for fall drives. The power of this unit, the neck unit and the heated seats, the cooled seats, is really, really strong. It actually like makes your shirt flap.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling, but
yeah.
it feels really good.
So that's how you know it's working really well.
Yeah.
So where you turn all that stuff on is unfortunately within the menu here, which you have to use the trackpad. No touchscreen here. It's all using the trackpad, and it is terrible to use. It's honestly not safe while you're driving to try and get into this climate control. It's just like so touchy when you're trying to find, you know, select the seat and move things around. It's not user friendly. I think it's everyone's biggest complaint about this car when they review it. So hopefully, you know, we're not going to spend too much time on it, but hopefully the next generation they can implement some of the newer UIs that they have out there.
Yeah, the actual
this is not
fan speed and stuff is those silver toggles right there.
Yeah, your climate controls are here, but
all your heated seat and everything is.
And I think they did that because they wanted to make this cabin feel really simplistic, right? There's not a lot of buttons and things everywhere. I think there's just the bare minimum in here. That's the price you pay for the look, you know?
Yeah.
Beauty is pain, as they say.
Beauty is pain.
But as we kind of look, I mean, you know, you have different design elements, like this door handle is just absolutely gorgeous. Different materials and textures. Again, I think like in a combination, I don't love this spec, but this color is absolutely gorgeous. This like peanut butter caramel color.
Yeah.
It looks really good. You have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. They're both wired though, so no wireless. You have these nice shifters here on either side, pretty big as well.
Yeah, they feel very Alfa Romeo to me. They're nice aluminum, brushed. Feels good.
Yeah, and then
I'll do my
one cool thing. I hate that so much. One cool thing is you can actually get your digital dash to move with this button. Hang on here. So you can kind of change what information it displays, and the look of it, which is super cool.
Yeah, this is how it starts, and then
You can move it.
switch it over, which is just cool. Drive modes are that little horn over on the side there,
Right here, yeah.
which is cool.
Sport Plus.
Just a little different.
So I think with that, we can go for a ride and really show you what our favorite part is. We already established this is Matt's favorite car, and the sound and
About to find out why.
oh, it's so good.
That's why.
Nice little blip at the top. The down.
Listen to all that rattling though when we go over those train tracks. Do you hear all of that in
Yeah,
like,
I
the
think
A-pillar?
I think it has to do with like the
Yeah, but you won't get that
toll reader or whatever.
You won't get that in the coupe, obviously, and this is with the windows up, so this is as structurally rigid as it can be with the top down.
Yeah, but I mean, just to talk about this engine and transmission again. So there's just an insane blip at the top of a shift. The downshifts are really crisp, and there's a nice blip as well when you hit the downshift. It just makes all the right noises. And you know, for being a GT car, which this thing is, it does a lot of sports things well. I guess it has a lot of sports elements to it. Sorry, let me rephrase. It has a lot of sports elements to it. So you have an incredible noise coming from a V8.
Mm-hmm.
You have a Torsen limited slip differential.
Yeah, you got torque vectoring back end with the Yamaha performance damper. There's a lot of Yamaha stuff in here. So Yamaha's actually helped tune the tone, I believe, of the exhaust, just like they did in the LFA. So like you get a lot of LFA type stuff in here, but in a more like watered down dailyable package, which is just really cool. But yeah, you get adaptive dampers, so you can't control it individually, but you can control it with your drive modes.
Yeah, the drive mode that you select. So dial the back into comfort now.
Yeah, so
can
it softens,
hardly hear it. Yeah.
It softens back. The transmission's a lot smoother in comfort mode. But yeah, the suspension is really the biggest thing that you'll notice. So this does a really good split personality versus sport when you want it to be, and then it also is actually quiet and comfortable when you want it to be. Unlike some like BMW M products, for example.
Yeah, where it's just like one thing all the time.
It's just hard. It's always overdamped.
Yeah, I think, you know, talking about the technology stack in here one more time, I have had some instances where I've been manually shifting and the gear that it says I'm in actually isn't the gear that I am in. And that can get frustrating at times.
Yeah, the feedback that I got, I know what you're saying because I got a little bit of that as well. It's just a little bit slow.
Yeah.
It's still better than the 8-speed, but it is a little bit slow. Like I'll hit it, 3-4 times and it'll go down a little bit slower than I thought. So I'm actually in second, but it's showing that I'm in third.
Right.
So I'm pinning it and like banging off the rev limiter.
Yeah, so this is the 10-speed, which you love a lot more compared to some of the other transmissions that are in Lexus's lineup. So why don't you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so to me, like I get a lot of enjoyment from the shift, from the sound and the crack that you get on downshift and upshift and everything like that. So it's the reason that I like Mercedes 9-speed from AMG. And it's the reason that I like this 10-speed over the 8-speed that you would get in like the IS500 and the RCF, and of course the old GSF as well. So this 10-speed box is just a little bit sharper, it's a little bit more precise, it's more intuitive. It does have more gears, so it's thinking about it here and there a bit more, but left to its own devices, it does pretty well. And then shifting, as long as you're in like Sport or Sport Plus, and then you're on the upper half of the rev range, it is really sharp and really good. So I would personally...
Where do you go, right here?
Keep going here. So like me personally, the thing that's missing from the IS500 and the RCF is the transmission, and that's about it. Otherwise, this and those cars are pretty much the same from a powertrain perspective. Similar diff, similar, keep going. Similar stuff like that, similar engine and everything.
Yeah, I also think you can turn traction control off. It has a tendency to come on a lot while you're driving. Oh, here comes Dream
Paulo's
Car.
Dream Car.
Oh.
I wouldn't have it in red though.
I wouldn't have it in red either.
It's here.
Yeah, the traction control does come on quite often. I wish you could dial that back as opposed to just turning it completely off, but I guess
that's kind of a Lexus thing, because I even noticed that in the IS350 that we drove last year, where you got a nice V6, but the traction control will just nerf the car anytime you're in like mid-corner and get on power. It cuts power and it doesn't want you to slide it around. You can turn it off, but it's not really like, it's not exactly the same. It's not quite as dynamic feeling, so Lexus kind of nerfs the car a little bit for you. Of course, that's for safety, but it doesn't really make it the most fun.
So I think it's a good time to mention, I forgot to mention it earlier, but 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds.
4.7 seconds, yeah.
So I mean, it's not inherently quick. Or it's not fast.
It's not
I feel like it's quick. It's not slow. It sounds great though. Obviously, it weighs quite a bit. It actually weighs as much. We were just talking about this as the Macan GTS that we just had. So it's about
4,400 pounds, right?
Yeah, depending on the spec. If you get the convertible or the coupe.
And the convertible does add weight.
Yep.
It's the power top and everything like that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's not a sports car. Like if it was going to be competing against like BMW M850s, it would have a twin turbo. You know, if it was competing against S-Class, 63s, it would have a twin turbo. But it's a naturally aspirated thing, and that makes it a little bit more reliable. It sounds phenomenal, and yeah, it's a nice linear power curve. And I don't know, to me, that's very much my personality, right? So like, I don't really care as much about speed and 0 to 60 to a point if I can get this sound and this experience out of the car.
Yeah, and it is a really enjoyable experience behind the wheel as well. This steering wheel also just feels really good in your hand. It's like, it's girthy enough where I feel like it just doesn't feel wimpy. It's a really good steering wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like this car. I mean, there are some very obvious pitfalls in terms of the technology, which is not very modern. The rear seat is obviously unusable, and it's still pretty expensive at $112K for this one as tested. It's a lot of money, and then you start comparing things like 911s and F-types, which bring more power, bring more performance, but this, again, we've been doing downshift for 4 years. This is just such a special experience, a special week every single time.
Yeah, it's probably top 5 for me as well. It is a very special car. I'm gonna let Matt drive, and I think we'll just do engine audio. We won't be talking, so you guys can kind of get the full experience of what it's like. He likes to push the limit a little bit more on these roads than I would, so I let him take that cake. I can't add any more points on my license with 11. No, I'm just joking. That'd be insane. All right, we're gonna do a little ASMR, I guess, sort of thing. Just let Matt drive. We're not gonna speak. Yeah. Just let the engine speak for itself.
So we're in manual, Sport S Plus, and we're just gonna pin it. We're gonna come up to this right-hander. I hope you can see it on camera. We'll keep it pretty in order because there's people. But listen to these downshifts. There it is.
Sounds so good. It sounds so good. The stutter at the top when you leave it and it's bouncing off the rev limiter.
Yeah.
Just like for a nanosecond. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and it's okay. They built in redundancies, so it's okay to be doing that. I know some of you in the comments are probably like, you shouldn't bang it off the rev limiter. You probably shouldn't do it all the time, but it's okay. We've done some research on this one, and it's built in some protection, so it's okay. And it just sounds awesome. So for the sake of illustrating that on the video, we wanted to show you guys. And now we're back.
This is our house. Yeah. We wish. I live in a fucking shoebox.
Okay, we're gonna launch it again, but just in automatic.
It handles the initial turn quite well. It's the exit that it gets a little squirmy.
You can feel it sapping power, because like it would be really easy to just roll on power and then get the back, like turn with the back end. But since it's sapping power with traction on, of course we could turn that off. But with it on, it just cuts it, and then I'm sawing at the wheel. So to be the smoothest behind the wheel of this car, you need traction off. And that might be a good time to end it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks guys for watching.
This has been the LC500.